Hello, this is Nicola Bryant, and I am wishing MarkWHO42 a very happy birthday. A happy anniversary, guys. I wish you at least another 5.
MarkWHO42's universe here on Subspace Radio, the Geekcast Radio Network, Florida Geek Scene, and all around the interweb thingy, including MarkWHO42.com. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and it's a very special day. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's introduce our co-hosts.
Eduardo M. Freyre, probably the only podcast host who right now has the Marvel Comics villain Despair next to his laptop.
That's sad. No, it's good. No, I'm full of despair on that. It's just not good. We also have
Vicky Jakubowski.
Hey, Vicky.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, my voice is a little... Yes, folks, you'll be hearing my voice sounding like it's... Vicky, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. And finally, we have...
Son Quiros. But since my last name starts with Q, can I be Q?
Yes, because that's going to be a topic on the show. That works.
Oh,
but
God.
Before we get
and
to...
it begins.
Okay, it's a Star Trek retrospective, folks. We're going to talk about Star Trek. But let's stop right there and toot our horn a little. On April 1st, which was a couple days ago, in 2012, an idea began. And that idea was MarkWHO42. Yay! So it's our 10th anniversary, folks, and
were we supposed to give gifts?
Well, you know, as the person who started it, and with your lovely wife Patricia, we should be receiving gifts.
Patricia can get as many gifts as she wants. She deserves it.
Yes, and I think
she does.
I think I need a few too, but
no, you don't. You're not Patricia.
Trish and I started a Facebook page on April 1st, 2012. And then we worked our way to doing a podcast in August, but, you know, it still started back in April. And in the second episode, we introduced a gentleman who's sitting here with me, Eduardo M. Freyre.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've been here almost as long as MarkWHO42.
Yep, and aren't you glad?
Yeah, I am. I am. You've done a great job. We've had a lot of people on the show since then, and now we have Vicky Jakubowski and Zion, who actually Zion started, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
About 5.
5 years ago, yeah. So it's an amazing thing to be on episode 328 and 10 years later. And we're going to keep going. This show is not stopping. It's going to keep going until we go over the cliff. I don't know when that will be. I'm not sure when that will be, but it will happen at some point.
Mark.
Let's hope not.
Mark, I'm taking away your copy of the Italian Job.
Oh God, that's my. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Misusing it.
Original or sequel? Original or remake?
Original, always the
Thank
original.
God, original. Okay, Steve McQueen. Yes.
No, that was Michael Caine. You what? Epic fail.
Steve McQueen was in it too, wasn't he?
Was he?
I don't think so.
Look it up. Michael Caine, I know, was a star, but Steve McQueen was in it. If not, send your letters of discontent to markWHO42.universe@gmail.com.
Letters of discontent? Who do you think you are, Richard
III?
I don't
we had no coward.
I thought Steve McQueen was in it.
I know
Benny Hill was in it. Benny Hill was in it.
Yeah.
But Steve McQueen wasn't in it? All right, whatever.
He was the Great Escape. McQueen was the Great Escape.
Yes.
Okay.
With the
That's a different... No, I got to look this up. Because the Italian Job And yes, folks, we're going to continue talking about this. Why don't we worry about this at some other point, maybe in the extra innings? We'll talk about it then. But let's now.
Mark's retreating because he's wrong.
Probably. Okay, so it's our 10th
Let's get back
anniversary.
to the important things.
Yes, it's our 10th anniversary. And really, we should be doing a Doctor Who show since we started as a Doctor Who podcast 10 years ago. But we're not. Because, see, there is a station or a streaming service called Paramount Plus, which is totally gung-ho on Star Trek. There are so many new series of Star Trek that are on now, that are starting on hiatus, but it is such a big property that we are going to discuss Star Trek. And Ed, why don't you take over?
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I think MarkWHO is not the only one celebrating an anniversary. Because I believe Star Trek.
Who could that be?
Yeah, I believe the Star Trek franchise is celebrating 55 years. I want to say.
Well, no. 1966 was when it was on, but the pilot was 1964. So not exactly 55 years.
Well, close enough.
Almost 60. Yeah.
Close enough. Almost 60.
Yeah.
Not quite 60 yet.
No.
But getting there.
Yes.
Getting there. Technically 55.
Okay.
If we count when the series began in earnest.
Uh-huh.
Although that said, I do have to say there is one thing. I think I'm gonna start things off with a thought that I've had about Star Trek for years.
Okay.
My nickname for Star Trek as a franchise,
mm-hmm.
I like to call it the successful failure.
Yes.
Because think about it, how it was this sci-fi show in the 60s that lasted for 3 seasons, with
mm-hmm.
the 3rd season having to be fought for. And yeah, it didn't end. It was canceled.
Yes.
And yet it found a second life in reruns and other stuff, and then came back like in earnest to the point where it's one of the seminal sci-fi franchises of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I call it the successful failure because I mean, think about it. It's very easily in another universe. Trek could have just had its 3 years and then just disappeared, and just been kind of a little footnote.
Never going to disappear.
It was those people would have not let it die. Would have not let it die.
There was definitely enough crazy people like us, and that's the good kind of crazy. That said,
for Cocoa Puff crazy.
You shush.
But
Silence.
There was just something about it. Come on.
Yep.
There was something special about it, and everyone. Well, okay, not everyone, but everyone who's important knew that.
Whoa. Dang, Vicky. Ouch.
I fell in love with Star Trek when I was very young.
Yeah.
And
what did you start with?
Well, the original series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where did you watch the original series, Vicky? Where?
Well, the first time I remember watching it was when we lived in Daytona, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And that was, hang on, I got to do some math here. That was 74 or 75.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we moved Christmas the week of Christmas 74. So I think that was 1975.
In the early 70s, I watched it when I lived in New York on WPIX every night at 6 p.m. My mother watched it with me. From what I understand, my mom's no longer with us, but what I remember correctly, she used to watch it when it was first run. So she wanted to get me into. She wanted to get me into it. So it was like 1970.
Well, the fact that we had,
everything.
I think the fact that Shatner's shirt would get ripped to pieces probably was another incentive for your mom.
No, we made fun of that.
I don't think so. Maybe.
You know what? I just realized everyone here started with Star Trek on TV except for me.
Oh, wow, really?
Oh, right, because yeah.
I'm a 2000 guy. so
really? Okay, so
I'd have would be Enterprise, and I didn't watch Enterprise, but I got into Star Trek with the first J.J. Abrams movie.
Oh,
Really?
Okay. That's
Oh.
what the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, I liked it for what it was, even though I had no idea what was going on, and that was, I think, the whole point of the movie was to bring in new people. But I will never get
Chris Helmsworth's first big American job.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'll never forget that. Like after the movie, my mom was so stuck on the Spock her relationship because it never happened in the original show, and she just sitting there like, where did that come from? That never happened. And like I was trying to
I
put
would
together,
disagree with
was
that.
like,
There was that bond between Kirk, Bones, and Spock
Yeah.
that started in the original series. Now, mind you, it wasn't as bigly played as it was in the subsequent movies.
Right.
But those three were definitely a trio
no,
back in the day.
I am talking about Spock and Uhura.
Oh, you know, that was an original plot point that they ended up having to drop.
Really? Oh yes. That makes so perfect sense. Oh my goodness, we have a whole bunch
You know
to
what I'm
talk
talking
about
about
now.
No, wait a minute.
We have a
Spock and
whole
Uhura.
bunch to talk about today.
Yes.
I'm
That's
so
actually
sorry.
interesting because, of course, in Strange New Worlds, Spock and Uhura are in it. So, maybe the origins of that, except from watching short treks, the little shorts that they did when Discovery first started and season 2, it looked like Spock and number 1 are going to be an interest in Strange New Worlds.
Maybe
Because they have the way they talk with each other, it's kind of intimate. They share things that they wouldn't share with anyone else.
I would love
to see... considering both of them were with Roddenberry at different times, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see how would they work number 1 in, because I don't think that just a whole bunch of spots where you have a show working on a character that's only been in one episode. So like you have like a whole bunch of leeway to like turn the character and such, and like because like when you look at the cage, like she's there and like they're trying to portray her as the other side of the woman, like the non-woman side,
but you see,
commander,
I
right?
love that.
And like,
as
same here.
A kid, it just was like, and of course the studios were like, what? And they couldn't handle it. But I just love the fact that you had this person that was practical, smart in such a short little bit. Of course, they have her jealous of the whole, that whole thing and the last moment. It's like, oh my God, could we just knock that 1-2-second facial expression off and then be perfect? But I could see that happening. She was very logical.
I would like to see how they flesh her out, because like she's still a person, right? Like in the cage, like as I said, like they're trying to like make her seem like a certain military Navy type way because of the cage ways.
Well, did you watch Discovery? And she's not in it a lot.
Yes, season 2.
But
yes.
But it just I kind of like the fact that here you have this famous actress. I don't know. I was really impressed. I don't know why. I just was really impressed with the fact that they're bringing number 1 back. Thank you.
Well, and I gotta one thing I also got to give Discovery for is the fact that they work at trying to give her a personality, and then you have that little tiny bit, like I'm thinking of when she goes to the food processor and she orders like a hamburger with extra jalapenos, and Pike just like Pike razzes her and is like, would you like a thing of gasoline to wash that down with? It's like we have like a little,
going back to Spock and number 1 in that Short Treks episode, they're number 1 and Spock are stuck in a lift, and this is right after Spock first arrives on the Enterprise. He's an ensign, and she's talking with him. They're just having conversations, and she goes, did I see you smile as you came in? He goes, don't do Vulcan smile. He goes, well, he's basically that he does. And she's like talking about, don't let your freak come out. Don't let anyone see your freak if you're heading towards becoming a captain or in high up in the ranks. And he goes, well, what's your freak? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you. And then she starts singing Modern Major General.
Huh.
And at the end of it, right before they're rescued, Spock joins in. They're going to be together. They're going to be together.
God.
They're a couple.
Of course, hopefully they're not trying to gear up for something tragic, because number one,
I was about to say,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's
but they're gearing up to Pike having something happen to him.
Well, we know something happened.
So why
he's already lived too long as it is.
Yeah, so I'm saying Pike, right? But I'm saying that number one could head towards tragedy, because Pike's already heading towards tragedy. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen on the show unless they want to change up the show and actually have Pike die.
Well, no, remember, Pike didn't die. He actually
right. He became an invalid. He became an invalid, and he went.
Yes, has like the chair with the.
Yeah, and actually, if you think about it,
it's a happy end.
It's a happy ending at the end, because he's taken back by the aliens and he's given a good life in his mind.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I always loved that bit.
Going back to what we were saying about what kind of got us into Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch when I was a very little kid. I did see episodes of it, and I saw the movies. The movies. Like I saw Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock in theaters. Saw Voyage Home on home video. But what really kind of just what really did it? What really threw me head first into Trek.
Right.
Was Next Generation.
That's funny to say, right? Because this is before I watched the Abrams Trek. My mom is a twin, so my uncle would come over and he'd watch the Next Generation when it was on old sci-fi, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they just run nothing but hours and hours of it, right?
Yeah.
And I was,
BBC America runs hours and hours of it now. So.
I'm so glad
I don't understand why it's on BBC America.
Me neither. It's odd.
Maybe it's because of Patrick Stewart. It's like
there's
the whole you got Patrick
connection.
Okay, hold on. Then why is Law and Order on BBC America?
Is it the American version or the UK version?
The American version.
Oh, I have no idea.
Right.
I can't explain that one.
That's why I don't give Next Generation the pass that it's Patrick Stewart.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was one of those people in the 80s when they first announced Next Generation. Well, of course, they first announced, what was it, Star Trek 2.
Yes.
And that later ended up, some of those scripts ended up being used in Phase 2. Yes, thank you. And I was like, oh, okay, this will be interesting. And some of the stories actually ended up getting used in the Next Generation. Some of the story bits got used in the movies. And I was like really excited for Phase 2. But then when they announced the Next Generation, I was like, excuse me?
Oh, because they're replacing everybody. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like so upset. And the only person I knew on the list really was Patrick Stewart, because
Gurney, look. He's a hot-colded animal, my lord. At me.
I'm sorry. I was still in the theater at that time. I was really into the Royal Academy and the Royal Shakespearean, and they had their films on reels, and you could borrow them and you could watch them, which I did. And I was just like, what are you doing to my Star Trek? I actually did not watch the first half of the season. And then my sister goes, you might want to watch it. It's a little preachy, but it's okay. And so I started, I don't remember what the first episode I started with, but I missed kind of the really bad first 5,
Well,
you missed Code of Honor. You missed Code of Honor.
Zion,
let me finish my story.
Zion, tell the story.
Yeah. So my uncle would come over and watch us hours and hours of it, and I'd always just like go downstairs and like get snacks. And there's like 3 things that I really remember from back then. It was the Enterprise going fast in the intro. It was Troy, and the fact that nothing happened whenever I came downstairs. So I was like, they're walking. Okay, now they're talking. They're walking. I go upstairs.
So you managed every
and like I was like, what makes Star Trek good? I'm gonna go watch Darth Vader choke a man.
Okay, there you go.
You know, if all I saw were the scenes in the hallways and stuff, I'd be kind of like, so what? You know?
Yeah. You were saying, Vicky, that you started watching a couple episodes in.
Yes. And it really still took a while to win me over.
I went over, we had a viewing party of Encounter at Farpoint. We went to my friend Bill Wilson's house. There were about 15 of us watching a regular sized TV for 1987. Oh my God. But
19 inches?
Yeah, something like that. I liked it, but the ending was kind of like, all right, that was really hard to solve. And I always had, and I'm, I hope this doesn't get edited by Subspace. No, I remember when I was watching it and the way it ended, I'm like, that means that Troy must have had an orgasm because she was able to feel the aliens.
That is just an awful thought. Never get that thought out of my head now.
Dude.
What do you expect from a teenage boy?
Well,
teenage girl.
I was 20. I was 20 years old. Yeah.
Oh, geez. But I just remember.
What year did it come out?
Honestly, what I remember is my it was like the weekend.
Oh, that's right. I was in college. Yeah,
it was the weekend. I was like 10 years old or something, and then my dad is like, Ed, you gotta come see this, and I come over, and he's like, this is Star Trek. This is like some new Star Trek, and we're just looking at this, and we're like, what? Wait a minute, what? This is a new crew? Wait, what? We're just.
What do you mean the doors work all the time?
Yeah. Well, no, and it's like, why is somebody's granddad flying the Enterprise? And then and then of course two guys watching. We see Dr. Crusher, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe if I was on that ship, I'd be going to get a checkup. Sure.
Oh,
was
the time for my physical, doc? And then, of course, being a kid, seeing Wesley Crusher, it's like, oh, hey, cool.
I actually always liked the Wesley Crusher character because I was that know-it-all pain in the ass person, or so I've been told. And it grew on me, and it was kind of a fun thing to do because I was going to college but still living at home. And it was a family thing we did. We got together every week and watched it. It was one of those great things. And I really felt like it came to its own. Oh, I don't know. Somewhere in the second season started off better. And then I now love it.
Well,
but I feel that about so many of the Star Treks.
Somebody's always said that with Next Gen, it really came into its own with season 3.
Yes.
Like there's some good ones in season 1, there's some good ones in season 2, but season 3 is where it found its stride. Like if you can get through the first 2 seasons, you're good. Like you just got to get through those first 2 seasons. And all I got to say, and I do want to ask a question. Zion, you did a binge watch of Next Gen, right?
I've binge watched all of Star Trek up until the first season of Voyager.
Okay, I do have there is a question that I want to ask you about.
Can we ask that question on the second half? Can we take a break?
Okay, we can take a break.
We can take a break.
We can take a break. You have to go tinkle, don't you? Oh,
no.
Take a break. So you can go tinkle.
We have to let the Subspace commercials come on. Just to let you know, my street creds have been revoked because I was thinking of Steve McQueen racing around in Bullet. Steve McQueen was not in the Italian Job.
Dude!
Noel Coward was, but not
Yes.
Steve McQueen.
Dude,
I'm ready to shoot myself.
But how can you mix up Italian Job with Bullet?
No,
How can you
I
mix
didn't
up
mix them
those?
up.
It's
I
just
just
the
thought of
racing
the
cars,
racing.
It's
I just
just
thought of the
racing
racing.
cars.
I just thought of the
No,
car.
not even.
I
Not
thought
even.
I saw the car. It was confusing.
Not even. The
Okay.
car in Bullet is so much different than the cars they used in Italian
Okay,
Job.
children.
We are going to take a break, folks. We're going to take a break. When we come back, We've got more on Star Trek, and Ed will ask Zion the question that I wouldn't let him ask. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of MarkWHO42's universe.
Welcome to my throne room, Future Tales. The Beast Unleashed podcast is over, not gone. You can hear more of this great podcast, discussing all the episodes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines on GeekCastRadio.com. We include voice actor and writer interviews with stellar hosting by Steve, Mike, and Michael. Head on over to iTunes or the net, or else I will send you my vehicles to extract your spark and destroy you. Yes.
You are listening to MarkWHO42's universe.
Welcome back to more of the 10th anniversary of MarkWHO42's universe. Yes, we started back in April of 2012, and we're still going strong. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me today are Eduardo M. Freyre, Vicky Jakubowski, and Q himself, Zion Quiros. Hey, Q, how you doing?
Good.
Well, is he?
Picard.
Well, here's the thing: is he supposed to be the Q or
He's
AQ?
He's AQ. No, John Delancey is the Q. Zion Quiros is AQ.
Is he the same? Is he the same Q as Corbin Burnson?
No. There are tons of Qs out there. He's his own personal Q, like his own. Yes, so he's his own Q.
Yeah, like oh my God, I forgot his name. Trelane.
Okay,
That's
yes.
There you go.
Probably was
yes.
a Q. You're a Q. Yes.
Has been debated forever whether or not he was a Q. And there's a lot of, I've heard it for and against, and I can't decide myself because
actually there is a book but that Peter David did in the 90s where he does pull the trigger on that.
Oh wow.
In MarkWHO42's universe continuity, Triskelane is Q.
Okay, we'll take that.
In our show, he's a Q.
Triskelane?
And he's a young Q.
Triskelane.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah. It's Trilane. Triskelane.
Who's
Triskelane? He sounds like Triskelane. He sounds like a little.
Hold on. Here's my answer. Trill. There's a Q in Trilane.
Oh,
Triskelane.
No, you're thinking. What you're thinking of now is Triscuits. That's what you're thinking.
No, I'm thinking of Q as a Ed, you're off this one.
I
had it right
about the episode The Gamers of Triskelion.
Thank you.
There you go. See, there you go. Okay. You're just mixing. You're mixing stuff up all day today.
This is our 10th anniversary. I'm old now.
What?
Addled. My brain is addled.
You're pulling that out. You're pulling that chestnut out. I'm an old man. Jeez, dude. Not even McCoy. Not even McCoy in Encounter at Farpoint was that bad.
I'm making Steve McQueen an honorary member of the
Oh.
In our continuity.
Wow, haven't we just all delved? This is an alternative universe.
Yes. Yes. Loki and the TVA are standing outside.
No. You are not going to try and fix yourself by crossing the streams like that.
Well, isn't that just how the writers?
Isn't that Ghostbusters crossing the streams?
You realize we're getting away from what we were supposed to be doing when we came.
I know.
Right?
Let's beam
That's you. That's your fault here.
Let's beam ourselves to the right topic and talk more about Star Trek. Ed, you were about to ask Zion a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you did that binge watch of Next Gen. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the episode Code of Honor?
Aish. I'm gonna be honest here. I skipped it.
You can't do that.
Ooh.
If you're binging a show, watching every episode, you can't miss an episode just because you heard it's
If
bad.
only you can see it from my eyes.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because, like, look, that episode, I'm going to be honest here, right? I've watched TNG. I've watched the original series twice. One in TV order, and I'm currently going through production order. And that's amazing. It's incredible doing it that way. But the thing is that Code of Honor comes straight out of the worst part of TOS. It felt like
Have you ever
the worst
watched
TOS
it?
episode, and I got to like 3 minutes of it and said,
Oh.
"This ain't it. I know
It's
what
bad.
this is."
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is that Mary Whitehouse had a campaign about a lot of shows in England, including Doctor Who, and she probably never watched any of it. But she complained because people told her things that were in it.
No.
You have to watch it yourself to get an opinion.
Just
You can't-
once. It's kind of
Yeah,
like doing It's a Small
no,
World. You got to
no,
do it
I
once.
know.
I
know
hate
ex-
It's a Small
I
World.
know
That's the worst ride in
exactly.
Disney.
No, I know exactly what's in it. I know down to the T exactly what's in it, and I chose not to watch it.
Okay.
You know what? That episode.
And
it's-
also, it doesn't matter because it's never brought up ever again.
yeah, that episode. I mean, I will admit, because I know that Trish also has done like a little binging of Next Gen. We actually need to finish that. Stuff keeps interrupting, but she did all the episodes of season 1 and 2. Although I gotta admit, the first 2 seasons, I feel like you could probably just like buffet style it, where you grab a couple of episodes and you won't miss much.
Look, I am gonna put it just like this, and I'm gonna leave it here, right?
Okay.
When you have a show whose whole basis and whole legacy is based off diversity and moving forward, and the whole point of it is the 21st century or the 20th century at a time, trying to get to the 22nd and 23rd century, right? And we don't get there through freaking laser guns and warp speed. We get there through morality and such, right? I think that's the whole point of what TNG was trying to show for like whole 7 seasons, right? When you have a certain episode, right, that delves into certain topics, like, okay, I'm gonna just put it flat. You have the savage black people going and stealing the white chick, and now the Sets of Right Alliance, mostly white guys, has to go save the white chick from the savage black people. And
the episode did suck. I'm not saying it didn't suck. I'm just saying
cringing,
it
considering this was and I did. I've been watched all the Star Trek stuff available up to 2020, and I started and I did chronologically. So I did Enterprise, then Next Generation, then the animated series original series, then the animated series, then Next Generation. So I kind of went through that and throwing the movies in because I own them all, including the animated series from 70s.
I've got an animated series too. I didn't
thank
hate
God,
that.
I feel
That's
a little
pretty
bit
good.
better.
But yeah,
No,
But I watched them all, bad and good.
Uh-huh.
I might have focused more on my work during the less than stellar episodes. Don't tell my boss.
Yeah, like
But-
You do realize this is going out over the internet,
Yeah,
right?
your
No,
boss has
my-
just heard this.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boss knows I work 10, 12-hour days. So
Oh,
if I
okay.
took a moment to actually pay
Okay.
attention to an episode,
All right.
I'm not in trouble. But even the ones that make me cringe, I made myself watch them. And then I remembered why they made me cringe and continued on. And saying, boy, I'm glad I watched another episode after that one because I might have walked
Yeah.
away after that one.
Yeah.
I understand that. But when you have a certain episode like that, right? And then the rest of the season and the show is about morality and back and such, how can I take the writers seriously if they wrote that? Now, I understand that dude got fired by Gene himself and was never...
Did he really?
brought
I
back.
didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yes, but like the whole point is that episode is the complete antithesis of what Star Trek holds near and dear. Not on story, well, yes, in story wise and eye value wise. But
How did it go through? If he fired him, how did he actually let the episode be made?
Well, I think I remember hearing that the episode did go through like
Massive
it wasn't
rewrites?
originally, well, it wasn't supposed to be how we ended up seeing it. Like I think the the alien race was supposed to look differently. Somewhere along the lines, it just
and there's definitely been so many times that happened where a story is written with this kind of characters, and by the time the story gets, especially in episodic TV, and the way that they were kind of going off the seat of their pants, especially in the first 2 years, until they felt truly established, and everyone was like, "Ooh, must watch Star Trek." Yep. And so there's a lot of things that got changed because this will be better, and then you film it and you go, stupid decision there. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the I can never remember the title of it. The one about drugs.
God, yes, drugs. I know the one you're talking about.
They make you feel good.
Yep. Oh yeah, the just say no, the just say no monologue.
That was so horrible.
Yeah, that was
season one.
That was a little. Well, you know what? Hey, it's
bad.
And not to mention, I mean, we are talking the 80s, so at some point you did have to have the drug episode.
Okay, that's true.
You did have to have the drug episode. Yep.
I have a question for everyone here. How do you guys feel about Pulaski or Boneless
Pulaski?
Oh, geez, Pulaski. Yeah. That's one of the great things about...
I did not like Diana Mulder's character. I was not a big fan of that.
I mean,
however, we wouldn't have got Measure of a Man without her.
Right.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have got that. So she was kind of necessary for some of the stories.
Yes, but
I feel like they didn't write her very well.
Yeah. They tried to recreate Bones.
Of course, we love the act. Yes, I agree. It felt like they were trying to create Bones, which didn't fit in this century. I'm sorry. It's just, even though we had Bones in the very first episode, he was 100 and something by then. But it just, she wasn't a good fit for the cast or anything else. And it's such a shame because, of course, we'd had her in a couple episodes of the original Star Trek, and she's this great actress and she's done all these wonderful things. And I felt like, she was just so vilified by the fans. It's like, guys, it's the writing.
Yeah.
They did not write
one thing I will say. One thing I got to say about Pulaski. I think it was in the Star Trek Encyclopedia, but there's somewhere where it says they actually made a reference to another show where she played a vilified character by saying rumors that one of her ancestors fell down the elevator shaft of a prestigious LA law firm are unconfirmed.
Interesting.
Oh, that's bad.
But moving from Next Gen, because I feel like we're kind of using Next Gen a little too much.
Yeah.
There is we mentioned the movies briefly, but the movies have had, there was the whole thing of the even numbers are so much better than the
even
odds.
number movies. Yeah, but then you get to Nemesis. So
I kind of feel like, that's the thing. If somebody says, what's your favorite of the Star Trek movies? I actually find myself having a difficult time because I can't figure out which of the three even numbered original series cast movies I like the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest, also, I think that the whole thing with the with the odd numbered movies not being that good, I actually liked Search for Spock.
Yeah,
I actually
had its
thought
moments.
It wasn't. I think of the even numbers of the original cast, I would say Search for Spock for the odd numbers is the best one.
Yeah.
Followed by motion pictures. Yeah, followed by motion pictures. Then and then we have the Final Frontier.
What does God need with a starship?
Yeah,
thank you.
My favorite of the original crew movies was Wrath of Khan. But it wasn't really a Star Trek movie. It was an action movie. If you want a Star Trek movie that worked, hold on. I still loved it. That's my favorite. But what I'm trying to say is the one that was perfect for mass audience was Voyage Home. That one, was good for anybody who watch. You're right. Star Trek Wrath of Khan was an action movie. It was Star Trek. I mean, if you think about it, the needs of the
There's
many
lots of sciencey stuff on it.
Yeah, and we also had the thing with the Genesis planet, and we had and don't forget we also had there was that subplot, Kirk with his whole attitude to the Kobayashi Maru. And I don't like.
Okay, so yes, but again, whether or not it's Star Trek, that was my favorite. But I think it was because it was an action movie. In terms of the odd numbers, when Star Trek the motion picture came out, and there was nothing else out there, that was the thing out there.
Yeah,
I saw it 3 times on opening weekend and a few more times the next couple of weeks.
Wow, you actually had the time to kill?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, hold on. How old was I? I was 12 years, 79, so 12 years old.
Yeah, I watched it a lot. Not maybe
I saw it
maybe like
times.
2 times less than I watched Star Wars in 77. But when Star Trek the movie came out, I was like the first in line.
Yeah.
And of course, things weren't the way they are now. But it just and I went as often as I could because I don't know, there was just something about it that really it just, to me, it was like awesome. Now I watch it now and I don't like it as much, of course. Give me 4 or 2 any day. But I could watch I can watch Voyage Home and Wrath of Khan every day.
Yeah. No, Undiscovered Country wasn't bad either.
Oh yeah, no.
I liked Undiscovered Country. Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I got one name right. Christopher
there you
Plummer.
go.
And there's nothing like watching Shakespeare done by Klingons.
Yeah.
And when they released the book of Hamlet in Klingon, I bought it. It's on my shelf at my office.
Oh wow, nice.
Yes.
With the rest of my collection of weird Shakespeare stuff.
Yes, love it. Love it.
I count 6 as personally me the best Star Trek movie, but my favorite is the motion picture. Like I honestly think everyone gives the motion picture so much like dookie,
right?
Because you have to be patient with it. Like every Star Trek episode, guys, you don't get the action right away. But the thing about it is that it gives so much things that are staples. We never saw the Enterprise jump into warp before that movie, right?
Right.
We never had an in warp accident with the asteroid. Prior to that, right?
Yeah.
You had a whole bunch of you had that really gruesome warp. The transporter accident.
How was that a G movie with that scene?
Oh my goodness,
that was so great.
Well, I think I think part of it is that since we didn't.
It was a cartoon. It wasn't real.
Okay, since we didn't see the results of the warp accident, I think that we just had that that scream and the and
that was far more doable.
Yeah, although I do
didn't live long.
Whoa, look what they put in
and by the way, of course, I gotta love. I just wonder, has anybody online ever spliced that sequence with the movie Galaxy Quest with the pig monster?
Oh,
that's so perfect. Oh, that's so
it's
wrong.
like you just have the scream.
So
you have the scream, and then you cut to the thing from Galaxy Quest. It's like, but the pig is inside out.
Yeah, but
and now it has exploded.
But yeah.
And by the way, one thing I got to say about the motion picture. One little thing. So the guy who runs the station, the Epsilon 9 station, the actor was supposed to be in Star Trek Phase 2. He was going to be the new Vulcan science officer.
Yeah.
When Phase 2 turned into the motion picture, that got thrown out because it's like, oh, we got Nimoy back. But then it's like, hey, would you like to play Commander Branch? It's like, okay, that sounds cool. What? Wait a minute. Why am I dead 10 minutes into the movie?
They didn't tell me this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, at its core, though, like the motion picture, I feel like it's more Star Trek movie. At least holding to the original 3 seasons is the most Star Trek quote unquote movie. Because like when you get into it, right? Okay, we're past the 5-year hike. There's this thing coming. There's always a thing, a giant thing.
There's always a giant thing coming.
Always
a world destroyer, whatever, coming on Earth, like the Doomsday Machine. That's my favorite episode, so you can see why I love the motion picture. But so when you get just the giant grand scale of things, 82 AUs in diameter, you know how big that is? One AU is from here to the sun.
Yeah. Well, didn't they
massive.
actually have to? I think there was I think like in a later edition of the film they had to edit that line, like the line describing V'ger, because it's like if they had stuck with it, he would have been bigger. It would have been bigger than the solar system itself. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's cut it down so it's still big, but not that big.
But yeah,
I do
82 AUs. It's just the fact that like they are thinking about that conceptually. Like outside of that, like I feel like everything outside of that is very contained. Like sure, we have Klingons and Khan, and sure we have Doc Brown as a Klingon, and hey, Sulu is
he's right,
captain.
Cool. He does have a point there.
Cool, but where's the like the space gaudy cool stuff? Like V'ger being added up to actual real space stuff, like Voyager 1 and 2. Like I understand it's Voyager 19 or whatever, but just the fact that it's like a Voyager probe and it's out there and got mixed with alien tech, it's just I think the coolest thing.
By the way, did you know
is that the Borg? The alien tech could be the Borg.
Mark, you spoke over me. I was actually going to say a fan theory was that V'ger, because when Spock does his little spacewalk, he sees a machine planet, which apparently was what the original Voyager probe reached.
Yeah,
where it became V'ger. Yeah, the fan theory was, it's the Borg homeworld. But if you, I know that William Shatner did a series of novels where Kirk is brought back to life after dying in generations.
Oh, yeah.
And
I read those.
In the first one, he actually pulls the trigger on that and decides to make that the Borg homeworld.
Yes.
Nice.
So he did.
But those were good books. Those were good books.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He didn't actually write those. He didn't really write them. He was ghostwriting.
He put his name on them.
Look, I appreciate that, but it's like, do we really need an explanation for the Borg? Like it was so cool to see just this race just come up. Okay, you killed me once, do it again. You can't do it again. So now we're here, and now you have to deal with us. But now, like, this is why I haven't really touched Voyager, because I know that in Voyager, like, the Borg are like not even a threat no more, and like they just like stop them and stuff. So I just said, you know what? Let me just enjoy my facade of what the Borg is for now.
Yeah. Can I say something that might be considered blasphemous?
Yes, you may.
I actually am more scared of the Borg. Like, I think the Borg are scarier than the Cybermen.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. So
they are.
Well, okay, the Borg.
The Cybermen are not as intelligent.
The Cybermen have been weak to gold for like 3, 4, 5 iterations now. When are you going to get the patch notes?
Yep. Yeah. No. And then also just the fact that the Borg have been better with the way they're presented at being cold and emotionless and just unstoppable.
Did you ever read the IDW crossover assimilation with the Cybermen and the Borg?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a Doctor Who Star Trek crossover.
That is a nightmare scenario.
Yes.
That is not my idea of a good time.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely that is definitely that's not breaking case of glass. That's the glass is gone.
Yeah.
The glass is gone, and the thing that the glass was behind the glass is gone too.
Okay, I want to ask a question because we haven't talked about at least what I think is the most overall completely best Star Trek series, and that's Deep Space Nine.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
That was a fabulous series.
You know what? That was like the first. I think that Roddenberry had like that was the first thing. I don't know if it was the first developed completely after Roddenberry died, or if he had like a little bit of a hand in it or something. But that series,
Rick Berman,
Rick Berman. It was interesting in the fact that it's the first. Well, it was interesting that it was the first time that we had a Trek series where it was, where it was basically, we're going gritty. To, it was gritty, and also it was like, instead of we're going out into the final frontier, we're staying here. We're staying
Let
here.
The final frontier come to us.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because there's like a whole bunch of worlds that we've visited throughout like the 3, 4, 5 series that I said, can I get another episode of here just to see a follow-up? So it was very nice to see like us get Bajor in the TNG, then have it fleshed out to its fullest capacity and still land on his feet. It's absolutely amazing. But the one thing I want to ask you guys is, since we talk about the Federation and such, how do you feel about the Federation's morality throughout the series and its like actions?
Like anything else, it reached a point where it got bloated and it forgot what its purpose was. And it was more concerned about its partnerships and its shareholders than it was concerned about the people involved. And they made choices based on strange things that had nothing to do with the concepts behind what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, it had the best ending of any Star Trek series ever.
Yes.
Yeah. Although I do have to say, I am a fan of the Next Gen finale. I do love that the final sequence was Picard finally joining in on the poker game and going, and the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that to me, if you are going to end a Star Trek show with something to show what Star Trek is about, that I think is just that's like the perfect send off.
Well, it's like Next Gen is more about if we keep our ideals at this level, this is what we'll do. Yeah. And the flip side to that, the nitty gritty, what about these third world planets or these colonies that had been taken over, and we're now allowing that. I mean, I felt it was very much 20th century Earth, and the choices we had to make, and the changes we started to make, and how dirty and gritty, and world wars and all that horrible stuff. And we needed to show that, because as much as we wanted the future to be perfect, there was no way that was going to be. And I appreciated a little more reality thrown into there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny because like a lot of people don't really like that that Deep Space Nine really just pretty much said, hey, humans are still kind of the same. We kind of like, we have the facade that, hey, we're all of this and this, but when
we've already been around for thousands of years, and we do definitely occasionally screw up majorly. So
yes,
I don't picture another few thousand years making that any better.
I do agree with that.
Speaking of screwing things up, we have to screw up this conversation. Oh gosh, because we're running out of time. If you're listening to us on Subspace Radio, please go to look for the MarkWHO42's Universe podcast on your podcast platforms. We're on Audible, Spreaker, Apple, Google, and you can hear more of this conversation. We've got a lot more to talk about, but on Subspace, we have a time limit, and that's all we got. For everyone else, we will be back after this break with more on Star Trek, our Star Trek retrospective, here on our 10th anniversary of MarkWHO42's Universe.
We'll be back with more of MarkWHO42's Universe.
Pixels in the Animation is the Geekcast Radio Network's video game cartoon review show. We are covering every episode of 9 different video game cartoons. Join TV's Mr. Neil and myself, TFG and Mike, as we trek through multiple Mario tunes, Zelda, Captain N, Mega Man, Sonic, and we are also driving through Donkey Kong Country Pixels in the Animation is 100 episodes of video game cartoon goodness, so tune in to help us find the Pixels in the Animation, which you can find every Wednesday on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com. Pause!
Wow, we've had a great show so far, and we've got more for you on the MarkWHO42's Universe podcast here on we're not there anymore. We're on Geekcast Radio Network, Florida Geek Scene, MarkWHO42.com, Audible, Speaker, and tons of other podcast platforms around the world. But guess what? If you're listening to my voice, you've already found us. Yay! It's our 10th anniversary of MarkWHO42's Universe. We started our Facebook page on April 1st, 2012. And, well, it's now April, the first week of April in 2022. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me today are Vicky Jakubowski, Eduardo M. Freyre, and one of the Qs himself, Zion Quiros. Hey, Q.
Hi.
What are you going to do to us today, Q? What lessons are you going to teach us?
Don't mess with the Dominion again. That's just it.
Okay. And as you could tell, talking about Q and Dominion, we're having a Star Trek retrospective here, and Eduardo M. Freyre is leading the conversation. Ed?
Yeah. I actually, for our little extra slices here, I do one thing I did want to talk about. And I've been thinking about this, all week as I've been preparing for. Actually, I've been thinking, as long as we've been preparing for this episode, I've been thinking about it. And it's just the whole idea of one of the things when we have like a franchise, big franchise like Star Trek or Star Wars or Doctor Who or anything like that, is of all the stuff, because Trek is more than just all these TV shows and all the movies. It's comics, books, video games, and I'm gonna borrow a phrase from Dan Larson, who hosts the YouTube channel Toy Galaxy. Is it canon? Because here's the thing: my understanding is that as far as Star Trek is concerned, Paramount basically counts all the TV series, the movies, and that's it.
Right.
Everything else is not canon unless something, unless like there's something that kind of gets referenced.
Right.
I do remember that the animated series for the longest time was not considered canon, except for little pieces of one episode that dealt with Spock's childhood.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that.
And then I think about 20 years ago, or maybe a little less than that, Paramount was finally like, actually, no, it's canon. We'll count it. They actually did decide, fine, it's canon. A little
loosey-goosey with it, but
yeah.
Well, if it was canon, then they completed their 5-year mission.
Yeah. See, it's funny you should bring that up, because that's exactly the thing. A lot of fans would say, well, if you want to show the rest of the 5-year mission, use the animated series. And then that was year 4 and 5. I know that I have a DC comic that presents what's supposed to be the end of the 5-year mission. It has the Enterprise. It has the Enterprise coming back to Earth. It's got Kirk getting promoted. It's got, Starfleet Command saying, so yeah, Kirk, you're going to be here with Starfleet Command. The Enterprise is going to be offline for a little bit while we do a complete and total refit. It does have... I
think I had that. I had that comic.
And then it's interesting because there is also... IDW just finished a series called Star Trek Year 5, which is yet another iteration of the finality of the 5-year mission. Yeah. So it's like, see, right there.
But that's a comic book. It's not canon.
Right. So we have two non-canon. We have like, if you're like the brain trust behind Star Trek, and you're looking for, for something like, okay, I want to be able to tell the end of Kirk's mission. Oh wait, I've got 2 different comics I can use from. You could just choose one and then be like, okay, this is the official canon end of the 5-year mission. I know that I mentioned the book that Shatner did, The Return.
Yeah.
There's that book, and I remember that in that book he actually had, this took place after Generations but before First Contact, and he actually had the Enterprise E being a Defiant class ship. And then even further, and then like when he kept after, he did more books with like Kirk in the 24th century.
Yeah.
And I remember the explanation, once First Contact came out, there was this kind of hand waving where it was like, the Enterprise E was only that Defiant class that they used was only that was merely Starfleet. That was just for that mission, so that the Picard and his crew could be in an Enterprise, but that's not the official one.
Right.
So it's like, they did a little bit of, hand waving of like, this is the official, the Sovereign class one we saw in First Contact. That's the official Enterprise E. So it's like, okay, we're gonna, just wave the hand. It's like, no, that's the Enterprise E. This was just Starfleet saying, hey, for this mission. I know that I mentioned the other story, Q Squared, which that was the one that had Trelane and Q, and said Trelane was a baby Q. That one thing I like about that one is that actually is, not only is it a sequel to Squire of Gothos, not only does it pull the trigger on a great fan theory, it actually also forms a little kind of pseudo sequel to Yesterday's Enterprise.
Yes,
because one of the alternate realities is Yesterday's Enterprise, and what I love is a great little Easter egg to fans in the first season of Next Gen. Tasha Yar and Data are a thing.
Yeah,
they're actually dating. I did love, for those of you who have a problem with Wesley Crusher, it did also, there was like an alternate reality that Peter David introduced from scratch, where it was Jack Crusher as captain of the Enterprise with Picard as first officer.
Oh,
and
wow.
And Wesley's dead.
Oh, wow.
That Wesley died as a child. Like there was, I think, an accident climbing a tree. Yeah, he was like climbing a tree and he had an accident.
Oh my God.
But one thing that another thing is that in the story also, I think Trelane talks to Jack Crusher and says that this is the only universe where Jack Crusher's alive. That every other universe, it's Jack Crusher who dies instead of Wesley. Like he just kind of does a little knife twist, and it's like, yeah, see, you're dead.
You have to have A or B. You can't have both in the alternate universe, and it makes sense that Wesley, especially with all the things we learn about Wesley as we go along, that it seems very important for him to be the one that exists and learns all the things that he learns and can share. And I don't know. And I've always been a fan of the Wesley, and maybe it wouldn't have worked as well if his father was alive. He wouldn't have been who he was. Okay, he wouldn't have been alive according to this series. But, well, okay, let's talk about the elephants in the room, because I often find when I discuss Star Trek with people, Voyager and Enterprise, am I the only person who liked them?
I love Enterprise.
I loved Enterprise.
Voyager, I like Voyager. There were a few episodes in like the back end of it, the later seasons, that I wasn't as much of a fan of, but I liked Voyager.
Okay.
I will say this, I got to agree with Majel Barrett had a comment, because there was an episode that featured The Rock. The Rock had like a cameo in it, and it was I think 7 of 9 with like a some sort of alien, I don't know, like ultimate fighting thing, some sort of alien gladiator thing. And I remember that Majel Barrett, I don't know if she was joking or if she really didn't like the episode. She said, "So when are we going to have monster trucks?" And I gotta agree with her on that. Like The Rock as an intergalactic, The Rock as an intergalactic fighting champion just felt like, not lazy casting, but kind of like just so obvious.
Next was Shaq.
It's like it's not like when they had Mick Fleetwood, just totally buried
as
under alien makeup as a fish
yeah.
alien. That one was I thought, or John Tesh as a Klingon.
Right.
The only thing he got to do was stand in line with a bunch of Klingons and then take a paint stick and go.
I remember I loved Enterprise, and I got to go back. First of all, as of last Wednesday, I have seen every single television show and movie Star Trek. I've seen every series, every movie, up till episode 5 of Picard, and episode 6 is coming up this week, so I'm going to watch it. And I loved Enterprise. Enterprise was one of my favorite series. When Deep Space Nine came out, I was a Babylon 5 fan. I hardly ever watched Deep Space Nine. I thought it was a ripoff.
Well,
when Voyager came out, I watched a couple episodes. I was bored with it. When 7 of 9 came on, I watched a few more episodes. I liked her. I liked Jerry Ryan, so it was all right. But I didn't watch it. I binge watched Deep Space Nine and Voyager about when I was recovering from my surgery, and they were good. I liked them, and I'm like, why didn't I watch these before? But Enterprise, I watched as it came on, and I would not miss an episode.
Enterprise was, I don't know how to put it. It scaled very oddly. Like Star Trek has this thing where I don't know why it's probably in his blood. Where outside of the original series, the first 2 seasons are complete dookie. And then good writing.
It's interesting.
Clear.
Yeah, it's interesting about Enterprise. Everyone complained, they're ruining the past, they're rewriting stuff, they're retconning. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit into Star Trek. It doesn't feel Star Trek. I got to tell you something. People were complaining about the way the Vulcans behaved, that the Vulcans were backstabbing and stuff. Okay, when you watch season 4, you find out that the reason the Vulcans were like that is because the Romulans had infiltrated the Vulcans, and all the bad behavior were the Romulans. So they fitted in. It was not out of character. And I don't think they came up with that at the last minute to fix it. I think that was a plan from the beginning.
That was a big plan for it, but then they had to kind of rush the very ending.
Right. So I don't
get renewed that last year.
I don't think. Go ahead. Yeah. No, I don't think Enterprise ruined anything in the history of Star Trek. I think it fit in perfectly.
Okay, if I had any complaint about Enterprise, it's that I think that a problem with Enterprise was that the look felt a little too like. I mean, I'm not going to say that they had to like have everything look like it came from the 60s. But the problem in doing the prequel is that when you have the NX Enterprise looking even more modern than
the original Enterprise.
What about Strange New Worlds and Discovery?
Well, at least with that, okay. We can get to that.
Okay.
We can get to that in a second. But the thing is, at the time, we didn't have Strange New Worlds and Discovery. It ends up looking weird. Like, for better or for worse, it looks weird. And
do you want it to look like a 1950s?
Right,
like a 1950s show?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. This is like a little Kobayashi Maru scenario. Because you can't have it looking like the 1960s. But on the other hand, because you bring up Discovery and Strange New Worlds,
right? At
least in the case of both shows, you have a chance to kind of like, kind of tweak things in the sense that to make the sort of transition where, you can actually go, you get the Enterprise to look in a way that invokes, the 60s while still making it look,
well,
like a little, not like, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's the thing. That's the thing. Because, when Enterprise came out, that was the problem. There was this thing of like, okay, how do we do this? How do we have it look like it is what we're gonna get? How do we look like this is step one?
I have the perfect analogy.
Okay.
Do you remember Hellbent when they brought back the original TARDIS room?
Okay. Yes.
And it was retrofitted, but it still held the overall feeling of the original TARDIS room.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, it's something like that, right? Where like you are trying to get the original bridge, but it can't be the original bridge because we don't have light up buttons that beep, beep, beep.
Well, actually, that's an interesting thing because on Discovery they have hologram communications. All the bridge is so futuristic, and so is the Enterprise. But of course, Strange New Worlds is coming out. How do you make that the same Enterprise that Kirk was on? Well, at the end of season 2 of Discovery, to get rid of the computer storyline and the computer virus thing, they had to turn off all the hologram devices, basically make the Enterprise low tech. And that's why hopefully in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, they're going to continue that. They can have the old bridge because it was, and not all the futuristic stuff, because they had to shut it all down. And if they put it back on, the virus is going to come back.
Look, my problem with, just go back to Enterprise, right? My problem with Enterprise isn't with Enterprise itself, but like with like how Berman tried to portray certain things in like the original bits. Like even though we needed the decontamination room, right? Because we didn't have transporters.
Mm-hmm.
The decontamination room didn't need to be that, even though I enjoyed it because I'm a guy. But like the
T'Pol,
yeah.
But it didn't need to be that. If you know what I mean, like we've had this problem since like T and G times, like with Troy's suit. We've had Dax have wear breast padding. We've had 7 and 9 wear breast padding, and for what? Just because male gaze, and we're still here in Enterprise, and I understand it because Berman's Berman, but like it didn't.
Leela, Doctor Who's Leela,
that too.
There you go. Yeah, her too.
But overall, it's funny. Like it's scaled. Like it held to what it was trying to do. Like, okay, this is literally going where no man has gone before, like the original word.
Mm-hmm.
But like, exactly, it's a problem. But like, when you get to the Xindi War, everything flips. Now everything's like, okay, now we're actually rolling because now we know the characters, we know the certain time era, we know what we're shooting for. And from there, season 4 is just season 4.
They never should have canceled the show.
They never should have canceled it there.
No.
That was, I think, some of the best Trek I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
It was so nicely fitting. It is like the end of Revenge of the Sith. Everything just meshed together so perfectly. I'm like, wow.
That mirror universe story, the 2-part mirror universe story,
God, that was
with
so
the
good.
different credit sequence.
Oh yeah.
That episode blew my mind only because they explained 2 episodes in one.
Yeah.
Like, yep. How do you mix the mirror universe and say the mirror universe is the way it is because of the Tholian web? What?
Yes. Yeah, that was cool. I
was interested in the Tholian web just cause. But the fact that now it's mirror universe and it stayed like that because of that.
Yep.
All on top of that, they brought back all of the original sounds. Like seeing that crew on the original Constellation bridge, and like boom, about 60 sound.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Archer at one point wearing an original series outfit?
Yes.
Like the Mirror Archer. Yeah.
You know what's crazy about the episode? That they put so much detail into that episode that when he got onto the bridge, the 2 guys were still strangling each other. It was still there.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, how, like that episode had me like had to go back and watch the Atholian Web, and then rewatch that again. I'm like, this is a continuation. This is like what?
Yeah.
Unification 3.
There is something I do want to ask as far as Enterprise is concerned.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? I'll bring it to the group. I'll bring it to the group at large. Okay, because I know this is one of these sticking points that you have fans that are just like have like a total non-love of, and that's that would have to be for Enterprise. What did you think of the fact that it had an actual theme song?
Okay,
it's been a long.
It was okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was fine with it.
The song is okay. The whole point of the intro is the visuals.
Yeah,
this is how we
Those
fly. I'm like, this is because like
it's also
my guy, and I look, I'm like, this is exactly what I come for. Show me the shuttle, show me the Saturn V, show me the other guy. This is amazing.
Yeah,
but the music sucks.
No, I think the music worked.
I wouldn't say it sucked, but it was not a Star Trek theme.
Season
and I was
one
just
was
like,
good.
I also like the fact that it was just called.
Was bad.
I also like the fact that the show was just called Enterprise, not Star Trek Enterprise, until like the third season where they gave up to the fans.
Yeah. I think. Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I had no problems with the fact that it actually had a theme song, and the fact that the opening was something different. It wasn't. It wasn't like it wasn't just the ship flying through space with like the names of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was not bad. It was something. It was like, you know what? It's something different.
Yeah.
It's something different. And not to mention, remember that the whole point of this show, the whole point of Enterprise was supposed to be that this was the beginnings.
Yeah.
This was the beginning of it. So. The whole thing, like, the fact that they had, it was clips of stuff like the shuttle and, things like that. And,
all the things that
the moon landing, things like that. Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's like, that's the thing. This is why we're here. We're here, we're here to witness, the stuff that led to, Kirk's time and Picard's time. Another question though. I want to bring another question to the group. Although actually, Zion, are you familiar with the last episode?
Oh no.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, hold on. Now, hang on.
Wait. Yeah. I have to say this. I am very familiar with Terra Prime. That's last episode.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, because fans.
Good,
okay.
I mean,
for those. I mean, yeah. A little bit of background, spoiler alert. The last episode is told through the eyes of William Riker.
Season
it takes place
7 of The Next Generation.
Yeah, it takes place during the episode Pegasus, and it's William Riker using the holodeck, and he's using the holodeck, and he's looking at this old this old thing of the first Enterprise crew as a way to kind of like give himself, some sort of motivation of, well, I got to do something about this whole thing with the Pegasus. Let me see how these old heroes. And I know that they also one of the things they did try to do was do a callback to something from the original, from Enterprise, which is the fact that the Enterprise cook was never seen.
Yeah.
And so they had Riker jumping in the role of the Enterprise cook. And it's like, I know a lot of fans are not happy that essentially the end of Enterprise was a next gen episode.
And I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. You completely missed Zion's joke.
Okay.
He said the last episode was Terra Prime. That's not the last episode. That's the episode before the Enterprise.
No, Terra Prime is the last episode.
No, right, exactly. You don't count These Are the Voyages, right, Zion?
Listen, that's
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you,
Zion.
Zion.
That's a TNG episode. That's not an Enterprise episode. You cannot, if I was on that cast, I would feel insulted.
Oh, totally. No, Zion, I'm on your side.
4 years.
I think they're actually
on this ship just for the season finale to be something from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say
Diane,
that
I'm
I
totally
found
on
that
your
I gotta-
really
okay, I will-
satisfying
okay.
series ending.
I will say this though. I do that last. Okay, the last shot though. The last shot where they start with like the the opening narration, and they go from the NX to the NCC 1701 to the Enterprise. Okay, that part was cool. It was the fact that before we got that part, it was the fact that These Are the Voyages is a Next Gen episode guest starring the Enterprise cast.
Yeah.
That part, yeah.
Zion.
Yes.
I got to ask you something.
Shoot.
So Trip never died, right? Trip never died. No, because the episode doesn't count.
Yeah,
the episode
Trip
doesn't
never
count.
died. Trip never died.
Well,
but you know what? Trip dies, and in the books, there were a series of Star Trek Enterprise books that came out. I read them all, where Trip didn't die, but they faked his death so he could join Section 31.
Yeah.
And he kept
that would make
sense.
sense.
Every once in a while, T'Pol finally found out, and so sometimes they would have a weekend. But still, the books made it all better.
And see, and this is why, maybe what Paramount needs to do is they finally need to if they need to go through the books, and do it, all right, that's fine. But how about we just finally just make at least something of the books canon?
Well, Trip living would be nice. And
that would be nice.
Because you don't count the last episode of Enterprise, Trip lived.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I just find myself, it's weird that, Paramount is just like, nope. It's only the TV shows and only and here's the thing. I'm going to bring up something else from YouTube. I have been watching a lot of what culture videos, and there was one that was Star Trek specific. It's from the Trek culture part of what culture, and it was about basically the missing years of Trek. Because here's the thing, Trek kind of has its own little, like, okay, Doctor Who fans, we've got the wilderness years, which is like that gap between the end of the original series and the beginning of the new one. Yes. And there's kind of a wilderness part for Trek fans as well, when you think about it. And this is the fact that between the end of Undiscovered Country and the beginning of Next Gen, we've got this huge field to play with of just unknown stuff.
I have a question for you, right?
Yeah.
So, because you just brought up something that's lit a light bulb in my head.
Okay.
At the end of Undiscovered Country, we're still wearing the red suits, right?
Yeah.
Between there and the beginning of Next Gen is what, 100 years plus?
Right? No, about 75 to 80, depending.
How often do we change suits in Star Trek? About once every 3 seasons, right?
It seems it's like, okay, actually, it's funny you should bring that up, because I did see there was also a video going through like all these uniform changes and exactly when does it take place, because we've got the outfits of the Cage, which then turn into the outfits of the original series, and then between original series and the first movie we get the motion picture outfits, which, by the way, a little aside, a friend of mine told me one of the Star Trek tech manuals or something, you have Scotty talking about those outfits, and in universe they changed to the maroon outfits because the motion picture outfits were unpopular. Which I was like, wow, if that isn't just the best meta explanation I've ever heard in my entire life, I don't know what is.
I love it.
But
it is absolutely hilarious that like we change suits every 3 seasons or so. I don't know how much in years is that in Star Trek. I'm gonna say about 3 years or so, because I personally have a headcanon that every season is a year because of TNG and TOS.
Okay.
But so I just find it funny that we switch suits every 3 years, and then we get to one that's really good, and we stick with it for a whole generation.
Yeah.
And then we get sick of it, and then we're back on the Switch. Like,
yeah,
we need something else. Darn it, it's not working.
Well, no, like I understand that, like, in a universe or like outside of a universe, the reason why is because we have the leftover suits from the movie. So let's put young Picard in them.
But let's have funny. And hey, let's change things by getting rid of the sweater underneath.
Exactly.
See, kids, it's different. No, what I thought was interesting, and I wish though, I love the uniforms that were introduced in First Contact. The whole, gray on top with the colored undershirt and the black. I thought those were cool. What I know that when DS9 came out, the uniforms in DS9, you had the black with the colored with the division color on top and the gray undershirt. And then it seemed like whenever we saw anyone else, like anyone from Starfleet that was not in part of the DS9 crew, they were wearing the next gen uniforms. But the thing for me with Generations, how we had Star Trek Generations, and then we had a mixing of the two outfits where some people were wearing the DS9 style outfits and some people were wearing the next gen style outfits. There is a part of me of like, I almost wish like we had more of that before we went to the First Contact uniforms.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was an interesting mix, and
like a phasing out.
I would love to know, like, I would love for somebody to come up with like an explanation for how it, like what is it with the
nobody's going to be satisfied with that explanation, and you know that.
Well, you know what? It's funny you should bring that up. Because we were talking about Enterprise. One of the things Enterprise did was it gave an explanation for why the original series Klingons look like they do.
Right.
I do remember watching Trials and Tribulations, which was for I think the
anniversary.
I think it was the 25th anniversary.
Yes. Yeah.
And we did have a scene with Worf, and then we see the original series Klingons and the other DS9 crew going, Worf, what happened? And how he goes, we don't like to talk about it.
Outsiders.
I honestly, the first time that happened, I was just like,
speaking about
what?
Speaking of how the Klingons look, that was one of the reasons why I didn't like Discovery at first. I didn't get.
That particular design was a brought back design from the motion picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess.
No. If you go look at it, they are hairless. They are wearing black and gold spikes across their shoulders. They
even mentioned in Discovery in one of the shows about how they're going to go back to doing the hair and everything else, and I mean there's a big point that's made out of all that.
But when I first started, I see when Discovery came out, the first season, I was like, and I really didn't watch it. But when season 2 came out and I heard the Enterprise was in it, I watched season 2 and said, "Oh, damn, this is good." So I went back to watch season 1. I was like, it's good.
You know what?
It's good.
I will say one thing I do like that Discovery did was the fact that they jumped. They had the ship jump forward in time, and they're now 900 years out from the original series. I liked that, especially because what it did is now
spoilers because I haven't watched season 3 yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay. I'm gonna. Okay. Mark, stop. Let me talk.
Yes, sir.
The thing I like about it, and no spoilers, is that now you can do stories without having to worry
about continuity.
Exactly. Like you can do something without saying, "Oh crap!" But this is now I'm contradicting the man trap. Oh wow, this is a great episode, but oh darn it, it contradicts the big goodbye. Oh, this contradicts this. Now you can just do it without having to worry. You know.
Although season 3 should have been season 1, because like I watched Disco 1 and 2, right, and like I liked it. I felt like something was off, right, and sure, like it was just the the wanting for further more Trek, but it was more like since we're in the era of 12 episodes, right, per season, we have to condense it because we usually get a round number of like 26 episodes per season back in like 60s through 90s. So we have to condense all of that and make it a good season within 12 episodes. Now, what that does is now you take away episodes like Shore Leave and other episodes that build character, but there's absolutely nothing happening. So now you come in Disco 1 and 2, and every episode is a dire end of the world. We have to do this, or else the whole thing falls apart. Episode. And for me, it got tiring. Like when I watched TOS the first season, and I got through a whole bunch of it, and then got to Shore Leave, I was like, wow, that was a nice breather.
Yep. All we got is Kirk having to deal with a manifestation of his school bully. And and then Dr. McCoy dies. Oh no, wait, he got revived. Oh, and look, he has like two
Playboy bunnies.
Okay, I was trying to think of a nice way to I was trying to think of a nice way to say it, but okay, Mark, we'll go with Playboy bunnies. Sheesh. But yeah,
the one who came up with what Troy was thinking. So Playboy bunnies.
I'll say, and then I'll also say this. In that same vein, Zion, I love the the TNG third season, fourth season episode, Family.
Yes.
Because it's perfect because we're getting off of the two-parter Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah.
And this is something where all it is, it's everybody, this is a breather for both the characters and for the viewers and for the actors. It's okay. The Borg have been stopped. The Enterprise still needs to get a couple of things fixed. Let's just have everybody being chill,
We wouldn't have got Picard if it wasn't for that episode.
More than likely, yeah.
Picard picks up on that.
Yeah, no, and it's great that we see more of everybody's families. And I have to say, seeing that episode again, I just have to laugh at Worf trying to hide being so uncomfortable with his parents being on the ship, and and then of course Sergei Roshenko, I have all the specs and diagrams at home. I'm sure that Worf is just like Worf is like, honestly, Moog could come back right now and challenge me to a battle to the death, and I wouldn't be embarrassed. It's like and just it like, honestly, it was just so much fun. I love the episode season 2. I love the episode The Royale.
Yes.
It was just it was like this fun little episode, and you could tell that you could tell it was just it's just this fun little thing. You got to love how Data getting into the spirit of things at the craps table.
Yeah.
Oh man, Captain's Holiday. That's the one. Captain's Holiday. That you gotta love it. This nice lighthearted thing, and that's one of the episodes that then says, you know what? Yes, Picard looks older, like an older gentleman.
Yeah.
But we're gonna, but still, this guy can be an action hero, an adventure hero, and it's like, you know what? Yep. Not to mention that I have to wonder about the conversation that Picard had later on with Riker about the exact nature of the Horgon. It's like, you got to know that was probably a fun conversation in the ready room.
Just
fun is not the word I would use.
Yeah,
because of that, Riker is my number one choice for first officer, just because of that. But I'm gonna bounce off Ed for a second because there's another like time gap between us, right? I don't know if you guys watched the Best of Both Worlds live, part 1. Did you?
No, I have not watched it
yet. I actually, Best of Both Worlds, I did watch it when it first aired, and basically having to wait 3 months and be like, are they going to kill? Are they actually good? And that's one of the things I think also so awesome about the cliffhanger is that we didn't have the internet.
Exactly. That's what I was about to get to. Yeah. I watched it first on Netflix. It's like, of course, when Riker says fire to be continued. Okay, click.
Oh,
episode 1. Well, you guys are like, oh my goodness, what the hell is going on here?
Yep. And it's like, wait, how can they have an episode if like they blow up the Borg ship. Although I gotta say, I mean, as you know, everybody talks about, and I love how everybody talks about, well, Star Trek is so dark now. It's like, excuse me, hold on, pause, rewind. Did everybody forget in Best of Both Worlds Part 2, we had the Enterprise flying through the end results of the Battle of Wolf 359 and having a ton of ships having been blown to smithereens? Did we all forget that?
It's not only that. There was an episode of TNG. I forgot what happened, but the scene sticks with me. There was a girl stuck in the floor.
Oh yes, that was
there.
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness! I've never
like,
seen anything like that since.
Yeah, and you hear the scream. You hear her scream, and then they turn a corner, and then there she is, like halfway through the floor, and it's like, oh yeah, she did. Yep, and it's like, and it's one of those things of like, oh boy, I do not want to be the ensign or whatever that had to like deal with that.
Do you want to know like the actual like darkest things I seen in Star Trek? It was in Enterprise. It was in the Xindi War. There was an episode where they showed a reality of if the Xindi won, and they hunted down every human in the galaxy and wiped out the entire human race. And it came down to the Enterprise, just the Enterprise, right? And of course they blew up the Enterprise. But the thing that really got me was that they like precision cutted the bridge and blew up the bridge. So when the bridge blew up, you saw the little 3D people floating in space, like with Star Wars Episode 3. And I was like, holy crap, that's insane. That is
well, and also
made me feel bad.
Oh, dude, not to mention the fact that you had like a huge chunk of the southeastern United States destroyed, replaced with a giant. Yeah, Florida got obliterated by a chasm, which and I can picture right now. There's a bunch of people listening to this episode going, so what's the downside?
Oh, he's right. I was like, oh, perfect place to destroy. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, joking aside, the fact that we had an episode of Enterprise where there's a giant chasm cut into the earth, which it's interesting. That's one of those things where I'm like, holy cow, that's dark and that's heavy. And I'm just like, so did they just fill the chasm in by the time of Kirk and
Why,
crew?
yes, they did. Did you miss the memo?
It's like, did they go find a whole bunch of dirt and sand from different planets, and it's like, okay, just fill it in. Like in Disney, they don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about the chasm.
We don't talk about...
What about the chasm?
What
chasm? What chasm? I don't know what you're talking about.
I see
Florida.
Dominion, when they was flaking because they was dying, and they had no idea why they was dying, and it ended up being Section 31, which means it was actually Starfleet, but it was quote unquote.
Yeah, Starfleet. An organization, Starfleet, was actually being like, you know what? We're really getting a pounding. Let's do some good old fashioned genocide.
Yeah, like that is insane. Yep.
Let's just have some genocide, and then while you're on the subject of that, the Dominion actually, forces of the Dominion actually made it to Sector 001 and pounded Earth. You had an image of San Francisco burning. It's like, oh, but nowadays it's too dark. It's like, again, were we watching the same thing? I guess it's because since they can swear now, that's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
You mean like Zion did earlier?
Yeah. Ed.
Well, they're swearing now. That's it. The franchise is over.
We've entered a new phase of Star Trek where there are so many
as they say
what ifs going on.
Yeah.
Like it's a different type of darkness. Like I'll give an example. How many lights are there? 4 or 5?
Oh, see, there you go. There you go. We had an entire episode of Next Gen, which was pretty much Picard getting psychologically tortured.
Yes, you have lost all of your rights. You are no longer Picard. You are just human.
Yeah.
Or thing.
Yep.
I forgot.
Thing. Yeah.
But he stripped him of his rights. He stripped him of his humanity.
How many lights?
Naked, and we almost got him to break. He almost broke.
Yeah.
That's the part that makes it that makes the entire episode. He was about to break.
Yeah, and the fact that he just which makes that one moment, when the other Cardassians show up and are like, why is he still here? And Picard just staring at him and just struggling and finally going, there are 4 lights. Like him just yelling. It's like, holy cow.
I have a question. Speaking of the Next Generation, what about the episode in season 1, Conspiracy?
Oh,
where does that?
Oh, wow. Actually, funny thing about Conspiracy. I read this in a making of book. The funny thing with Conspiracy, there is a moment, so you have the infamous moment where the lead alien crawls into Dexter Remick's mouth.
Yeah.
And they have to shoot him and his head explodes. So
that is so good.
There were
we're not dark, but we're not a dark show.
But we're not dark. Yeah. But here's the thing. The funny part is so they were worried about the episode. They were worried about, the fact that moment would give kids nightmares. So one of the people working on the show brings his young son in, who's like about 10 or so, like 9-10 years old, shows him the episode. They get to that moment, and you know what the kid's reaction was?
What?
Cool! And he actually asked, he asks his dad, are they going to come out with a Dexter Remick figure with an exploding head?
Oh, yes.
It's like, guys, we have nothing. Hey, if you're worried about the kids, you have nothing to worry about.
But not just the blowing of the head. Where did that storyline ever go?
Nowhere.
We never.
I think I remember that was one of the stories that was supposed to lead into the Borg. Because the original idea was the Borg were supposed to be a race of insects. So they changed their mind because it's like they looked at the budget and it's like, nope, try something else.
We want to go with the Cybermen.
Yeah, they're originally supposed to be a race of insects. So I think that the Conspiracy was supposed to be a lead into the Borg. But then they just, and I believe, and once again, the joys of making novels canon, I think there is a novel, there's stuff that picks up from where that left off and then does explain about about those aliens. I believe, I don't know if it's the same place or something else, where their explanation for those aliens was they were rogue members of the Trill. And it was like, that works. I can see it. That works. But yeah, we had that never got picked up. But hey, and the other thing, funny we should bring it up, the Borg, and did this get picked up or not? We have what's it called? The we actually had this great instance of continuity in the show where season 1 ends with this idea of, well, wait a minute, we've got outposts and stuff just being totally wiped out. And then what do you know? In season 2, it's like, oh yeah, these things, the Borg that Q has decided to, give us an early introduction to. A lot of this destruction matches the stuff that we were looking at about a year ago. It's like the fact that we had that.
And then boom, just canon.
Yep. And then, I remember I read an article which was talking about top Star Trek bad guys, and they put Q at number 7, and they said he may not seem like a bad guy, but this was the guy who, out of spite, had the Enterprise run into the Borg earlier than they were supposed to. And, because of that, we had Best of Both Worlds and all the death and carnage that went with it. So it's like, that's why he's on the list.
See, now I have a question about that because of Enterprise, right?
Yeah.
They first meet the Borg in that episode in season 2, but then you go into Enterprise and a Borg from First Contact ended up in ice, and then the first contact with them was in Enterprise now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't know. That would have to be something where you'd have to like kind of massage things and say, I don't know, maybe Section 31 kind of buried the lead.
Okay, so write
All right.
notes. Do not touch the Borg anymore. Period.
Yeah. And
Guys,
I honestly gotta agree with you, Zion. I think the last time that the Borg were actually scary was First Contact.
Yes, that's exactly
I mean,
where it
I think that in Voyager, when you got to, and I forget what episode it was, but there's like a Borg cube nearby, and Janeway's like, "Okay, let's prepare to engage the Borg." I'm like,
jeez.
No.
Yeah, like
Nope. If the
whole
Borg
thing
had
just took
sharks,
it away.
they'd be jumping over them. Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry to try to interrupt a second ago, but we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So
Oh wow.
I think we're gonna go for this week. Any final words, Zion?
Last question, Kirk or
Okay.
Picard, guys?
Pleading the fifth.
You know what? This is gonna sound blasphemous to some, but
Mhm.
I gotta go with my man Jean-Luc, because you know what? He solved the problem without resorting to phaser. He solved problems without resorting to phasers and without resorting to sleeping with the alien of the week. He does have his conquests. He does have his list of conquests, but darn it, it's not like every other. It's not like he has a list of alien ladies that he slept with.
He was a true diplomat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like he was throwing himself on them for the most part, even though the writing dictated wise. But regardless,
Yeah.
Kirk, I'm sorry. I believe in there is no win scenario. It's just that simple. You cheat on a Kobayashi Miru, I can use that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Ed, any final words?
Any final words? No, my final words were the Borg are scarier when the Borg work best when a ship sees them in the area and is like, okay, we're leaving now.
The Borg work when they stay mysterious.
Yeah.
Or at least the type of thing where, like, if they're in the sector, you leave the sector
right away.
Yeah, it's like, but wait, don't we have to get these energy crystals? We'll get them somewhere else. Let's go. Come on, warp 5. Let's go.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to Ed, Zion, and Vicky for appearing on the show with me. It's our 10th anniversary. MarkWHO42 has been around for 10 years. Woohoo! And we're going to keep going on. We're not stopping anytime soon. In terms of Italian Job, I am so sorry. It's Steve McQueen.
You need to go. Okay, you need to go. First of all, you need to go find Michael Caine and apologize to him.
Well, I knew Michael Caine was in it.
And then you need to go to the grave of Steve McQueen and apologize.
Hey, at least I didn't say Gene Hackman was in it.
Now you gotta go apologize to go apologize to Gene Hackman now. Go right now. End the show.
How about Vin Diesel? We're talking about cars. I'm just saying. Okay, so for those of you, everyone out there listening, listen to us on Geekcast Radio Network, Florida Geek Scene, MarkWHO42.com, and all around the interweb thingy. We're called the MarkWHO42's Universe Podcast. There is a MarkWHO42's Universe, but that is the shortened show as heard on Subspace. So you want to listen to the long show to get what we did. We kept going. We had a lot more to talk about than just a radio show. On behalf, like I said, everyone here, so long, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for listening to MarkWHO42's Universe with hosts Mark Baumgarten, Eduardo M. Freyre, Zion Quiros, and Vicky Jakubowski. This program was produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please go to our Facebook page or email us at markwho42s.universe@gmail.com. You can listen to old shows at our website, MarkWHO42.com, or even our YouTube page, MarkWHO42.
MarkWHO42's Universe, copyright 2022.